Hello, friends. This is Alia Jamal, the Heart Mentor, and we are meeting for our weekly workshop. And today's topic is just one of those topics that really grabs you because this is something that we deal with every single day in our life, and that is a connection with another person. So today we'll be learning how to experience heart-led connection and how to meet anyone where they are. Now, the first time I realized that that is the level of, I would say, internal transformation I have, I will say, acquired at that moment was when I was dating about 2 years ago or a little over that, when I really was ready to meet the other part of my soul. And I noticed as I was meeting with people, I was not too concerned about who they are. It was more focused on how can I coexist with them. The general advice for dating is, have this list and meet with this person, and just see, like, if they check all the boxes. My internal experience was very different. It didn't really matter who the person was. Just based on the work I do, I can see so much in a person that might not be even available to them. And if I want to go a little bit deeper, I could, open into the energy field that's available to me. So I understood that I can know so much about them. And not everybody's ready to do the inner work, and not everybody is going to do the work. So, how can I coexist? And when I realized that I'm not that bothered by who the person is, I could see the red flags, I could see so many things, and I could still interact. In those moments, I realized, oh, wow, that is where I exist right now. And it is such a beautiful place of existence. And of course, I have continued to build upon that. That is a type of growth. When you're working on opening your heart, you will continue working on it. It's not that one day you wake up and you just decide, okay, I'm open. I'm no longer doing this work. This is every single day work. So that led to understanding that it is a heart-led connection. And most of the work that I do, I go through the transformation and then I look at myself. How did I do it? What shifted within me? And I teach from that place of embodiment. So if you would like to get to a place where you can communicate with anyone without getting triggered, this is the work for you. This is the workshop for you. But if you still want to be the right person in the room, maybe this is not something you're ready for, or maybe this is not something appealing to you. So you can listen in and you can come back later when you're really ready for it. And for those of you who are interested to go deeper in this kind of work, I would say that this is the best investment you'll make in yourself as a human being. When you work on being in your heart, connecting with your heart, and opening your heart, most importantly, unlocking your heart. This is the best investment you can do as a human, because you truly get to experience what it means to be a human in terms of deep connections. Now I can connect with a person, I can connect with a stranger, I can connect with the cashier I just met maybe 5 seconds ago. It is such a beautiful feeling. And I remember not being able to connect with other people. I was just a talker. I could talk to you for 3 hours, no problem, but not feel connection. So once you start tasting, oh, that is what it means, or how it feels to connect with another person's energy, it feels better than any dessert you would have ever had. It feels better than any experience you would have ever had when you can really connect with a human being. So now, I do have about 6 points that we are going to go through. So first, let's understand, what does it even mean, meeting people where they are. So I will be mostly talking about our close relationship, the 5 people you interact with every single day. Let's start there. Whenever we interact with a person, we usually have a perception who they are going to be. Let's say you're interacting with your 5-year-old, you have a perception that, they're going to need your help in dressing, they're going to need your help even in bathing, they're going to maybe even need your help in feeding themselves. There's a perception or how they will behave. And if, let's say, you're interacting with your partner who's close to or in similar age as you have a different perception about them slash expectation. So before we even interact with the person, we have a perception about them, and that is just, being a human. Our brain cannot be so present all the time. So what it does, it creates these shortcuts and pattern where we go to, so we already know who this person is. And that is when we are not present. We are walking around, oh, this is who this person is. This is who this person is. Oh, this is how they are going to react. For example, let's say if your teenager comes screaming in your face, what is your perception? In that moment, what are you perceiving about your own child? And what happens within you? So let's say if you can meet a person not with your own personal perception, not with your own personal opinion about them, your own personal agenda. For example, if I want my son to be cleaning his room, I'm going to walk into that room with a personal agenda. This is what I want him to do. So when we can meet a person without that and truly see them and feel them, again, keeping ourselves out of the equation, when you can see them and feel them and connect with them at that level, that is what it truly means, meeting a person where they are. Now, it is easier to develop this, I would say, meeting people where they are with your loved ones than random stranger, because when we are meeting with a person we have not met before, right away our guards are up. Our fear jumps in. So if you're going to start practicing this, I will say start with a person closest to you. Start with the person you're least threatened by. Usually our kids, we are not that threatened by them because we are still in a power of authority for them. So start there. See how you can meet them. Now, before you even do that, another level of skill that is required is where you meet yourself. Now, if you're like me, a person who would like to do 20 things on their to-do list and love to have this internal pressure, and that is how you survive, then it would be very difficult for you to understand, meet where yourself, where your inner person is. You are meeting yourself with a huge agenda. So I just want to point out, I'm not sleepy. I'm yawning a lot because right now this workshop is just coming through me. I just had the points, it's coming through me. And in this state, I do yawn a lot. I'm not sleepy at all. I am very energized, in fact. So when you start meeting yourself where you are, it becomes easier to meet other people where they are. So if you are not at that level, or that is something you're working on, you can take all that we are learning here and you can apply it just to your relationship with yourself. And you will see how it will become easier to meet where other people are when you start doing that. For example, if you already know that you have 20 things on your to do list, but you're feeling tired and your body's really asking for rest, one way of existing would be push yourself, do those 20 things so you can feel good about yourself by accomplishing. Another way of being would be let yourself rest. And for those of you who find it easier to rest, you don't understand how difficult it is to rest, because I am that person. I literally have to force myself, even today, to allow myself to rest. So I have created, because I understand what is going on within me, how I create that internal pressure, that awareness is there. It's easy to override it with my heart and not let my mind take over. And I'll give you a very quick example from my own personal life. It's so fascinating. Whenever whenever I'm ready to teach something or I'm teaching something, I go through that in my own life 24 hours before it. So this morning, I woke up with a very heavy feeling because what has happened last night, which is not something I'll go into details right now, but definitely in one of the parenting workshop, maybe I can teach how to parent from your heart. That would be very wonderful and I believe insightful to so many of us parents. So I'm feeling heavy. My body's saying I want to take a whole day off. But I took yesterday off. It was Eid, and today my schedule was fully packed with a lot of stuff. I cannot really take a day off, so what I did, I emptied the time where I was going to do my offline work. Now that will have to be done tomorrow. And I used that time to do mindless things and listen to that is my go-to Native American flute music. That is my go-to. It just speaks so deeply to my soul. And that is where I can really find that grounding place within me with so much ease without doing a lot of work. Because what my body was requiring or asking is allow yourself to feel. No story, no agenda, no conclusion, just feel. And that is something that has built up over many years practice. I can allow myself to feel. So I folded the laundry. I worked with a couple of my dresses that I want to design in a different way. I cleaned the house. I put some incense on. Like I was doing things that are calming my nervous system, but that is allowing me to feel instead of sitting there and doing real deep creative work and preparing one of the classes I'm teaching on Monday. So I was able to give myself at least some room. So I met myself where I am, what is required of me. And there's going to be definitely more resting period for rest of the day. But now, let's just assume I didn't do that. And I was like, no, you still have to do 20 things that you said. You need to show up. That is not right. That is being lazy. Now I'm judging myself. I'm trying to fix myself, right? We all do that. Um, and what we call it, I'm a high achiever, I'm a overachiever, or I want to be productive. I don't want to be lazy. Or sometimes it could be like, I don't want my body to be controlling me. There's so many different ways we lie to ourselves. So those are few of the ways we lie to ourselves. And we push ourselves to do it. In doing that, you did not meet yourself where you are. You met yourself maybe where you were yesterday. In doing that, we break our trust with ourselves. In doing that, we betray ourselves. So when that is going on inside of you, you know what happens whenever someone comes to you to talk to you, your guards are up and all you want to do is attack them because you're already assuming, you already have a perception this person is going to attack me or judge me or criticize me. Why? Because that is what you do to yourself. That's why it is so hard to meet people with our heart, and it is so much easier to meet people with our mind. So I just wanted to keep that in front of us. Why, like, why this is happening within us and why this skill is really needed. If you never use it on anyone else, at least for yourself. So now let's understand why it is so much easier to talk, but not really connect. When you're sitting there and you're talking to a person, they're telling you, let's say a girlfriend, your partner, your child, they're talking and you're just listening to them. You're present. Let's say you're a very present person. You're listening, you're analyzing what they are telling you, and you are sharing your insight with them. But if you pay very close attention to it, it almost feels like you hold yourself back a little bit. It's their life. And you don't really let yourself merge your energy with their energy. Now, this is something when I started experiencing it first with my son, I started experiencing I could merge my energy with his energy. That is a heart wide open experience. And now that I can communicate with my husband that way, it is just a next level human experience because I have not experienced that in the past. In order for me to really feel someone, I must be in the energy of compassion. Now, what is compassion? We all know what sympathy is. Your friend is going through divorce, you're like, feeling bad for them. You're doing your best to show for them. And then we all know what empathy is, which where you're feeling with that person. You don't want to make them feel bad or feel bad with them, but you can hold space. So compassion is an attribute of the heart. Compassion is when I can love you without having the need to change anything. So let's say if you're my friend and you're telling me your very difficult divorce story that you're going through or another challenge that is happening in your life, unless you ask me what is your opinion, Alia, or if that is the relationship we have, or that is what I do with my son as well, I'm just going to be present while you are telling it and not have this, how can I solve this for her? What is the best thing I can give it to her? What would be the best answer to say to her right now? We all do that. We want to say the right thing at the right time. We all do that. When you're trying to say the right thing at the right time, you're not in your heart. That is not a heart led connection. That is a mind led connection. So that is the difference. When you're not trying to say the right thing at the right time, when you're just present, you can witness them in their pain, not take away their pain, not try to take away their pain, not try to show them, hey, right now, if you just do this, this pain will go away. When you can be in that space, that is compassion. It only comes from the heart. Compassion cannot come from the mind. Even though a lot of women I meet, they will say, I'm a very compassionate person. And when I look into their energy field or like 5 minutes of conversation, they're stuck here because we have intellectualized compassion. We experience emotion without experience the energy of it because you can experience the energy of an emotion only from your heart. So what happens? We stay very logical about our emotions. And that is what we expect everyone else to do too. So when you're in a place where there's no judgment, there's no trying to fix, there's no trying to say the right thing, that is a very, very vulnerable state. That is when the other person can turn around and say, you know, what you said is not the right thing. There is a place for you to get rejected. There's a space for you might be wrong. We all run away from that. So what we do, we just talk at the surface level. We'll spend 5 hours with our girlfriend listening to their grievances, listening to their problem and issues, but never feel connected. Another telltale sign, if you have a conversation and after that conversation you feel drained, you are connecting with a closed heart, my friend. If your heart is open, you can have the most difficult conversations and you will feel still energized because it's two human heart came together, opened. It energizes you. Because one of the most beautiful thing about the heart is if let's say I am doing the work to keeping my heart open and I'm talking to you and let's just assume your heart is very closed up and you have your guard up. Just because I'm talking to you with my heart wide open, your energy body will start mimicking my energy body and few minutes into the conversation, your heart will start to open up. That is one of the key secret most of my clients in most of their sessions are just releasing. What happens when heart open? We release. Tears come. That is when the energy is, it's processed and it's leaving your body. The work is done. How the work got done? One heart, one open heart came with the other one, and then the other one opened too. And that, my friend, is so energizing. If you can connect with your kids, even if you have a teenager who's throwing all kind of tantrums, my son has entered into teenage, and I'm still adjusting. I'm still in that wobbly place, but this wisdom makes it so much easier for me to readjust to him, because my work is to keep my heart open, not go into judgment, not try to fix him, not try to say the right thing. A lot of us, I will say, like, especially today's day and age parents, especially those parents who are trying to work on themselves to heal the generational trauma, one of the biggest boo-boo that we try so hard not to damage our kids. But my friend, your kid chose you because you're going to give them the exact trauma that they need to do their soul work. So when you're stuck in saying the right thing and not saying it this way or not saying it that way, your heart is closed and your kid's heart stays closed. And you both stay in the defense mode. That is where a lot of, like, teenage issues come as well, because when this little child you gave birth to, now they are taller than you and they are talking to you in a different tone, what happens? You're disrespecting me. So because I didn't meet myself where I am, I didn't show up for myself where I am. Now I'm expecting my child to do that. Yes, of course, there could be boundaries. We're going to talk about them in a minute. But that is why we get so hurt by their behavior, because now they look like an adult. They're not an adult. They still have a developing brain, and they are acting in a manner that feels disrespectful. Because in that moment, your heart closes. You need something specific from them that you're not giving to yourself. Your heart closes. So what happens? Their heart closes. But if you can meet them with a heart open, their heart would naturally open. I do this trick with my son all the time. I see when I get triggered and when my heart would be closed, and he will be in that attacking mode and defending mode. And then I take few seconds to readjust things. And then right away he melts. He melts. Like all that anger, frustration, everything goes away. That argument, everything goes away. Because I manage my energy. I go inward and meet myself where I am in that moment. Now, it's very important, especially the topic I got into. How can you do that without losing yourself? Like, we don't want to meet people where they are and then they are walking all over you. So, when you start meeting yourself first, before you expecting to share this thing with anyone else. So if this is the first time you're hearing this concept, I'll say start meeting yourself where you are first. When you do that, it naturally creates boundaries. One of the things that I talk a lot about, I'm not a big proponent of you need to create a boundary with a person. The only boundary you ever need to create is with yourself, within yourself, and that is called restriction. Stopping yourself from acting the way you've been acting in the past towards yourself. When you can hold those boundaries within you, and that is a level of awareness about yourself, and then a level of desire you have who you would like to become. When that is clear, and that requires a lot of living inside, not outside in your head or trying to just take energy from other people. When you do have that internalized fully within you, you don't really have to tell people, hey, you cannot treat me like this. You don't have to explain to people. You can just state it, this is what is going on, and this is where you are, and that's it. The need to explain goes away. The need to call a person and tell them, hey, I'm not meeting you from now on. Sometimes even the need to confront even goes away. Of course, we can always confront if, that is something you always run away from. Then, of course, for you, the prescription would be go ahead and confront. But when you meet yourself where you are, naturally you send out a signal to the other person, hey, you cannot cross this boundary. For example, I'm teaching my son how to own his choices without feeling guilty. Now, I'm the only person in his life who has introduced that concept, who interacts with him this way. All his friends, um, his dad, the world, the teachers, everybody has been conditioning him. If you own your mistake, that means there's something wrong with you, or you did something wrong. That is guilt and shame, coming together. And of course, nobody wants to go into it. That feels bad. So what we do, we attack the person in front of us. No, it's not my fault. It's your fault. So that is the dynamic we are working through. He comes to me, it's all on you. I help him understand that you can make a choice, and that can be a choice that is maybe not the best choice for the situation, but that does not mean there's something wrong with you. So you can own the choice you have made without feeling bad about yourself. Now, you can imagine how difficult that is for a 12-year to old to understand and grasp. The first time I introduced this concept to him, he was in grade 3, so about 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago. And it is very difficult for him to still grasp. So when he comes to me, instead of telling him, hey, this is my boundary and you're crossing my boundary and you cannot blame me, this is your fault, instead of going into that, I stay very calm and I remind him, show him the timeline. And we just had that conversation last night, and I showed him the timeline, what has happened, staying very grounded, not yelling, not screaming, not telling him, I'm your parent, I deserve respect, none of that, right? That would be all logical. That would not be coming from the heart, because at the heart level, even your child is just as powerful soul as you are. Just because you're their parent doesn't really make you any better than them. They have some of the kids that are coming right now, I will say most of the kids, they are more evolved spiritual uh, beings that are coming, because that is what Earth needs. I know definitely my son is more spiritually evolved at his soul level. Okay, where's that coming from? Okay. Not sure if, like, that went on recording or on the screen, but there was a pop-up. So when we can stay away from that, I'm your parent and I'm better than you, and we can stay in that space, let me just show the person what is happening, what is going on within them. Naturally, you have created that boundary, because now no one is attacking you, because you're not attacking yourself. You're meeting yourself where you are, and you're meeting the other person where they are. So what it requires is our need to attack another person. Take care of that on your own. When you're fully nurturing yourself, there's no need to attack another person. But when you're sitting with judgment, and I should have done better, why did I do this again? When you're sitting with that all day long, that is when it feels so difficult to have boundaries. That is where you feel like you're creating walls right and left around you to create those boundaries, because something within you feels threatened by your environment. That is where we are just telling the other person, you're wrong, you're this, you're that, and we don't really get to experience that connection. Now, the three things you can do to keep your heart open in any communication, whether it's with your child, whether it's with your boss, your coworker, your partner, your friend, or with yourself. No judgment. Can you show up not already having a verdict about the person? So dropping your perception. Yes, I know that they are a very difficult person. That is who they are. But in this moment, is it possible you can put it to a side and look at that person just another being as powerful as you are? Can you meet them at that level? And if you have not connected with the being that lives within you, of course, it would be a little difficult to do it. The second one is no fixing. Don't try to fix the situation. Don't try to give the solution unless you've been asked. Don't try to fix their life. Don't try to fix them. Don't think a lot of parents do this. They're like, oh, I know how it's going to go. I need to go there and fix all these things for my kid. My friend, you have no idea how things are going to go. You might have seen it happening to your neighbor, it happened to your aunt, it happened to somebody on the TV, you saw it in a movie, but you have no idea what your child is going to experience 5 years from today, 2 years from today. But when you say, oh, I know how it goes, you just created it for them. This is the most scary thing as a parent living in today's day and age where worry feels so much easier, but we don't realize our worry creates those scenarios for our kids. And you know, my friend, where the boundary is really needed within you to go to that worry. Stop going to that worry. Create a big wall in front of it. Cut it off. Don't call it again. Don't internet it ever again. That is where we really need the boundaries. So when we stop worrying for our child, we stop creating those worrisome situations for them. And we let their soul do whatever it needs to do. We let them be the creator of their life. So when we let go of the fixing, the third one is saying the right thing. When you let go of saying the right thing, my friend, you can connect with a person at the heart level. One of the common thing that was taught in my culture growing up, think before you speak. Evaluate before what you are going to say. That is a very mental experience. When you sit there, you think, you think, you think. Of course, thinking is valid, thinking is required. If you want to resolve a conflict, it's good to think. Think beforehand. Do all your thinking, but when you are there, let the words come out. Let's say if I am in the middle of a conversation with you and you're saying something, and I'm in my head thinking, oh, what would be the right thing to say to this person? In that moment, I closed my heart. But let's say before we got on a call or before we met each other, while I was away, while I was preparing for that meeting, I went through all the situation and scenario and I had all the things like, this, I want to make sure I say all these pieces, when I show up with that, but in the moment, don't try to say the right thing. That is when your heart would be open. And I am 100% sure each and every one of us who's watching it or not watching it, we have experienced moment of heart-led connection. Maybe it was the last time you had a breakup. It was a very honest conversation. In that moment, you just dropped the need to say the right thing. Maybe because you're really hurt. But that is where you could really feel another person. And then you think, why are we breaking up again? This connection feels really good. Well, maybe for the first time you actually experience a heart-led connection. And every other time you were just stuck in our head, which most of us are. So it does require work to bring yourself to the heart, bring yourself to the heart. So the inner shift we want to create is usually we approach a person or the way they're talking, we'll be like, how do I respond? What do I say? Like, what is it that I'm going to do? Of course, we are not thinking, but that is the process that is internally built in. If we can switch it to take whatever wording feels good, one could be, how am I receiving this person? Like, as they're saying these things, what chaos is being created within me? What kind of insecurities are waking up within me? Right? That is one thing you can focus on, or you can focus on, um, you know, what can I give to this person right now? Not based on what they are saying to you, So for that, you can use three questions that I have written over here, or any version of that. You can use that to stay in a place where you can witness your trigger, and at the same time, you can see them as just as powerful soul as you are, even if it's your ex-husband or wife that you're co-parenting with, even if it's a long lost friendship coming to tell you, how bad you were, or it's a friendship that has expired its time. It's a relationship that is no longer needed in your life, in the present chapter of your life. No matter where what is happening, you can ask these questions when you're having the conversation or before you have the conversation. First one is, are you meeting this person from fear or from your heart? Fear lives here, compassion lives here. When I meet a person with fear, all my guards are going to be up. I'll be ready for an attack, and I'll be ready to attack them too. And something within me would be pure fire going on. Sometimes you start to feel bubbling in your stomach area, or your chest start to get tightened because your whole body is saying, we are under attack. That is when you know that you're meeting this person not from your heart. You're meeting from this person from heart. When you are in front of a person and you're having such a difficult conversation, and I have had a fair share of those very difficult conversation, and nothing in your body twitches, my friend. That is when your heart is wide open. You are not trying to make them feel bad. You're not feeling bad for yourself. You can see yourself and that person as an equal. Um, the second question, again, if you're using it for yourself, ask yourself that what what is the feeling that is being triggered within me through this conversation? What's going on underneath the surface? And if you want to use it for another person, ask yourself, what are they feeling beneath what they show? So for example, a teenager is attacking you. They show you a lot of anger. But what is anger? Anger is an active form of fear. Their world is changing so fast, their body is changing so fast, and they are afraid. They don't know what's going to happen next. So who do they attack? They attack the person they feel safest with. Generally the mom, or it could be dad. So, what are they feeling beneath what they show you? If in that moment, which requires a next level of practice, if in that moment you can see what this child is really showing me. Usually it happens like, after you have yelled back and all that, and then you go to bed and you're thinking about it and you're like, maybe something is going on. Something was going on with my son in school. There was bullying going on. He didn't tell it to me. He was talking to his friend. He went to his guidance counselor. And then one day he's just crying for no reason. And that is when I learned that that is not crying for no reason. There was something going on that he, for some reason, didn't share with me. There was a lot of stuff going on beneath the surface. Now, the last question, again, ask yourself if you're working on still meeting yourself where you are, or the other person, whatever, pick yours. It would be, what would it look like to simply witness without fixing, without judgment? Can you just witness all the insecurities that are bubbling up within you without any judgment? Without saying, I should have been far along than where I am? Can you witness them without any judgment, that this is not how should this person should be talking to me, or why they are acting like this? I understand that it feels very difficult to be, but my friend, when you truly start being human being, that is when your heart is open. And once again, all that I have shared today, I have practiced it myself in multiple different situations, embodied it. This is how I live my life. And I know if I can do it, if I can be present from such a grounded place, you can too. And you can have those very deep, deep connections. with your fellow humans being, whoever you're sharing your life with. So with that, we are coming to a conclusion. I'll just recap. If you forget everything in your communications, show up with no judgment. Don't try to fix anybody or yourself, and don't try to say the right thing. If you can just remember those three, your communications in itself are going to get so deep. And watch out for that, you know, inner dialogue you're having with yourself. First, see if you are meeting yourself where you are, or you expect yourself to show up a specific way. Then the work would be there. And whenever you're ready to go much deeper into a year-long expansion, you can reach out to me. Go to my website, aliajamalcoaching.com. Um, you can book a strategy call with me where we can dive deeper into in all the ways I can help you build a life that is lived from the heart and not from your mind. That is all for today. I will see you all in 2 weeks. Next week will be off. That is my birthday, and I like to take the whole day on my birthday to myself to reflect. And my favorite practice is I write yearly vows with myself, and then on the birthday, I review what I kept with myself, what I did not, what I completely forgot. So we reevaluate all those vows. So I continue to build a deeper relationship with myself, because, my friend, that is the most important relationship you'll ever have. Sending you all so much love, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.